Heath Ledger's story feels like something written for the screen, brilliant, haunting, and gone too soon. He wasn't supposed to be a legend of tragedy. He was supposed to be one of the greats, the kind who changed cinema without paying for it with his life. But somewhere between ambition, isolation, and obsession, the role that made him immortal became the one that destroyed him. Heath Andrew Ledger was born in Perth, Australia in 1979. He was a kid who didn't fit the box his world tried to put him in. He was restless, curious, and always chasing something beyond reach. Acting wasn't a career choice, it was escape. By 17, he'd dropped out of school, packed his car, and driven across the country chasing auditions. Hollywood didn't find him. He went out and found Hollywood. At first, he was just another good-looking kid with an accent. Teen shows, minor parts, the same pretty boy image that chewed up and spat out hundreds before him. But Heath was different. He hated being seen as a product. He wanted to prove he could act, really act. In 1999, 10 Things I Hate About You made him a star, but instead of milking it, he ran the other way. He turned down superhero roles and teenage heartthrob scripts. He didn't want fame, he wanted meaning. Then came Monsters Ball, The Patriot, and Brokeback Mountain. That last one changed everything. His performance as Ennis Del Mar was quiet, devastating, and real. It earned him an Oscar nomination and the respect of an industry that finally realized how serious he was. But with that respect came pressure, and Heath never liked pressure. He spoke often about how fame made him anxious, how red carpets felt like traps, and how Hollywood's machinery left him drained. He moved to New York, chasing authenticity in art and life. He started directing short films, writing, experimenting, but something darker was growing underneath. He couldn't sleep. His mind never shut off. The same intensity that made him great was also tearing him apart. Then came The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan took a risk casting Heath as the Joker. Fans protested they thought he was too young, too handsome, too wrong for the part. But Nolan saw something others didn't. A man capable of disappearing completely. Ledger threw himself into it with terrifying commitment. He studied psychopaths, isolated himself in a hotel room for weeks, filled a diary with Joker's thoughts, and let the character consume his voice, his movements, his mind. On set, he was brilliant, unpredictable, magnetic, terrifyingly alive. Even his co-stars were unsettled by how far he went. When filming ended, he couldn't let go. He told friends the role had drained him, that he couldn't sleep for more than 2 hours at a time. Prescription pills became the only way to calm his mind. In January 2008, Heath Ledger was found dead in his New York apartment. He was 28. The cause, an accidental overdose of sleeping pills, painkillers, and anti-anxiety medication. There was no note, no dramatic finale, just silence. A young father, an artist on the edge of his greatest work, gone in a moment of exhaustion. When The Dark Knight was released 6 months later, the world saw what he'd created. His Joker wasn't a villain, he was chaos itself. Every frame crackled with madness and sorrow, with the strange energy of someone who had given too much. Audiences didn't just watch him, they felt him. And as they stood to applaud, the applause hurt, because genius and tragedy had become inseparable. Heath Ledger won the Oscar posthumously for Best Supporting Actor. His family accepted it on his behalf, and his daughter Matilda was there too young to understand that the man who scared millions had done it out of love for his craft. The industry mourned, but it also mythologized him. People whispered that the Joker had killed him, that the role broke his mind. The truth was less cinematic and far more human. Heath was tired, anxious, and trapped in a system that rewards obsession but doesn't protect the obsessed. He wasn't destroyed by the Joker, he was destroyed by his own brilliance and the chaos of a life lived at full speed. In interviews before his death, he talked about time how he feared wasting it, how every role had to matter. He didn't want to play it safe. That fear drove him to greatness but also robbed him of peace. Today, when people talk about the Joker, they still measure every performance against Heath's. He turned a comic book villain into art, a mirror for society's madness and his own. The scars, the laughter, the chaos, it was all real. But beyond the legend, there was just a man A father who loved his daughter, a friend who wanted to make music, a kid from Perth who dreamed too big and burned too bright. His death didn't end his story. It froze it in perfection. He never got old, never made bad movies, never lost relevance. He became timeless, but at a cost no one should have to pay. Heath Ledger's tragedy isn't just that he died young, it's that the world only learned to truly see him after he was gone. He showed us the price of dedication, the weight of expectation, and the fine line between creation and destruction. When we talk about the Joker consuming him, maybe it's not about a character taking over an actor. Maybe it's about a world that asks too much of its artists to feel deeper, to suffer louder, to give everything, and then stands in awe when they fall. Heath Ledger didn't just play the Joker. He became the ghost that haunts every artist who dares to lose themselves in the pursuit of greatness. His laughter still echoes, not as madness, but as a warning. And maybe that's his real legacy, a reminder that brilliance is fragile, that art can both heal and destroy, and that sometimes the greatest performances are paid for with the highest price. Subscribe and like to join our cinema community. Thanks for watching.